They tell us 235,000 jobs a month. It's been a lie. It's a bogus number. The BLS, that counts the jobs, they use what they call the birth-death model system. What they do is they manipulate the jobs, so 40% of that number that you see is fake. That's right. If you take 235,000 jobs, the number really is 140,000. They bogus up about 95,000 jobs. But that's what goes on now on Wall Street. That's why you want to be a member of my gang, Phil's Gang, philsgang.com, because that way you get the truth. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264. There is only one talk show host, Phil Grande, who delivers both social and financial talk. Not even Hannity or Rush can deliver a 1-2 punch like that. That's Phil Grande, philsgang.com. Phil Grande is unique, the industry leader, the first talk show host ever to combine social issues and finance into winning stock market ideas. That's Phil Grande, philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Let me ask you, could you use a little extra money? Well, of course you could. Everybody could use that extra revenue to pay the bills, pay down debt, or save for retirement. With philsgang.com, we help you make that extra income in the stock market. For over 15 years, Phil Grande and philsgang.com helps folks who are interested in learning short-term and long-term investing by providing professional-level charting skills and strategies. philsgang.com is your number one source to learn, invest, and profit in the stock market. And you can do this for only $49.95 a month. With philsgang.com, you learn how to invest in the market. You get daily investment coaching guidance, and you will learn to invest and trade with the skills and confidence of the pros. Just log on and get daily investment instructions and make profits. Plus, all philsgang.com material is archived for your convenience. Go to philsgang.com to join or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Call today.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. We're a teaching format. Boy, do we give good service. You know, buying a stock doesn't have to be complicated. The reason why Wall Street makes it complicated is so to make you think you need to hire them. You can do better without them, believe me, because you're not going to have those big fees. Come to Phil's Gang, where we'll show you easy way to buy a stock. philsgang.com, where we don't make it complicated but profitable.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. You know, it's been 7 years now since Obama ordered his Fed chairman to lower the savings rate from 5% to less than 0.25%. With the false narrative, it would spur economic growth and jobs. Everyone would have an opportunity in this economy. That's what he said. But what it spurred was a front-loading of the biggest, fake, unsustainable stock market rally of 200%. That's what it spurred. Now, most people did not participate in that rally because people got out of their 401k in 2009. And they said, just get me out. I want nothing but fixed income. And they got killed because with low interest rates, fixed incomes get murdered. You got to know what you're doing. If you're going to really retire, you got to be associated with the stock market. That's why you come to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Be sure to watch the Phil's Gang Show with Phil Grande, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on various devices like smartphones, tablets, your computer, and more. Get free access to the Phil's Gang Show right in your hands at home or on the go. Simply go to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com and click on the Listen Live link. And we'll see you on the charts.
Let me ask you, could you use a little extra money? Well, of course you could. Everybody could use that extra revenue to pay the bills, pay down debt, or save for retirement. With philsgang.com, we help you make that extra income in the stock market. For over 15 years, Phil Grande and philsgang.com helps folks who are interested in learning short-term and long-term investing by providing professional-level charting skills and strategies. philsgang.com is your number one source to learn, invest, and profit in the stock market. And you can do this for only $49.95 a month. With With philsgang.com, you learn how to invest in the market. You get daily investment coaching guidance, and you will learn to invest and trade with the skills and confidence of the pros. Just log on and get daily investment instructions and make profits. Plus, all philsgang.com material is archived for your convenience. Go to philsgang.com to join or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. Call today.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. You know, we come in the morning, we have what we call coffee talk, but we just don't sit around and throw the bull, or joke or laugh. Our coffee talk is serious. Every morning before you start out investing, we have an intense discussion on what is going on and where we should be investing, because it's all about not the money, but where you're putting that money. Join my gang, philsgang.com, and enjoy the best coffee in town.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. The stocks discussed on Phil's Gang are not in any way a recommendation or solicitation to buy, sell, or hold. If considering acting on information presented, we first recommend you seek out a competent, licensed professional for advice. Get ready for the radio show that tells you Wall Street doesn't want you to know.
Oh, I'm a money magnet. Money's coming to me. Money sets me free. I'm a money magnet. Money's coming to me.
It's your daily dose of how to manage your money. And now it's time for Phil's Gang on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. With your host, Phil Grande.
215,000. March non-farm payrolls increased by 215,000 jobs. The unemployment rate is 5%. Average hourly earnings up 0.3%.
0.3% earnings. Hourly earnings, 0.3%. Are you kidding? That is an embarrassment. That is ridiculous. Good afternoon. Welcome to Phil's Gang, coast to coast around the country, off the Wall Street Radio Network. Today we had our job numbers. Incredibly. I mean, it's just so bad. But yet they're celebrating it. It's unbelievable, these people. We have 94 million people that are not working. 94 million people. And earlier this week, Aunt B came out and tells us, you know, things aren't worse than they were in December when I raised the rates. I raised the rates in December, quarter point. And here we are in March. Nothing's changed. Everything's terrific, but I'm not going to raise rates. I mean, that was in itself ridiculous. I mean, she should have been embarrassed saying something like that, especially when sales of aircraft dropped by 27%, excuse me. 16 home sales were plunging over 7%. The financial sector, the most important of all the 10 sectors we follow, down by 8.4%. Business sales down 22%, 22.2%, since their mid-2014 peak. Inventory to sales ratio has retraced back to the low levels of 2009, as inventory is getting bloated because there's no demand, because people aren't making any money. They have nothing left. That they pay all their bills, they have nothing left. They're usually short about $1,000, $1,500. A person is making about $55,000 a year. At the end of the month, when he pays all his bills, remember, $55,000, they still have to take their taxes out. And I've been saying forever, why doesn't the president get rid of the payroll tax? Someone who's making $55,000 a year would have an extra $8,000 a year. Or at least say to them, okay, you don't have to pay your payroll tax if you take that money, that $8,000, and invest it somewhere so you can build your retirement. Not in a 401k, because you're going to get screwed. They'll take half of all the money you make in fees. Wouldn't that be a great thing if you could take that payroll tax that between you and your employer, if you make $55,000, it's $8,000, and just take it and invest it wisely? That'd be terrific, wouldn't it? I mean, just think I'm just looking at it right now. That's why I'm bringing it up. I'm looking at my PT2 chart, IBM. We had a buy signal. This is my chart that we use, the gang members use, who have no time, who are busy, who work every day, but yet they want to invest in it because they know they can never make any money, retire with a 401k. We had a buy signal on IBM on February 18th. We waited 2 days for confirmation. We got it. And that stock, IBM, is up 16%. What is wrong with that? We bought it around February 19th. That's a nice return. When did you get that kind of return? You didn't. That's a wonderful return. So the problem is they're never going to give you that $8,000. I'll tell you that, to go out and invest. They won't do that. But let me get back to this. So the financial sector is real important, and that is really in deep trouble. We also had retail or rail. I looked up this morning rail. I wanted to see what rail was doing. Rail shipments are lower now, you know that, than last year at this time. Industrial production has fallen off a cliff. In energy, we lost over 100,000 jobs just in energy alone, that sector. Another 32,000 jobs in mining. And we just lost another, 13,000 jobs this month in mining. Wheels are coming off the industrial material and capital equipment sectors. Unemployment rate ran up from 4.9% back to 5%. And for 96 months now, the Federal Reserve has been screwing savers with that near zero rate. People that are retired, they're scrambling, trying to eat, for God's sakes. They're still keeping their rates at near zero for savers. 96 months. Then you got the S&P 500. The PE of the S&P 500, what they're saying it's worth is a PE of 24. Are you nuts? That's a nosebleed height. 24? When corporate earnings have been dropping for 5 quarters, so haven't revenues been dropping for 5 quarters, and they're trying to tell us PE ratio of 24 on the S&P is cheap. Are you nuts? Then this morning, they came out, as I said, with these March job numbers, 215,000, which is really, by the way, remember, 139,000. Don't be fooled. I told you before. They puff up the numbers by 40% because they use a seasonally adjusted number, and they use a metric of death birth system to falsify other numbers. They death them, kill them, and birth them. And so the real number this morning is not 215, it was 139. The highest paying job sector, manufacturing, declined 29,000 jobs. Mining jobs declined 12,000. Yet, food service, waitress, bartenders, up 25,000. Healthcare, up 37,000. These are all crappy, no good jobs. Are you kidding? We have now, these low-paying waiter and bartender jobs have now hit a record high, while our high-paying manufacturing jobs have hit a record low. Virtually every laid-off manufacturing worker could find a job as a waiter. In March, the workers in the food service and drinking places category, waiters, bartenders, and minimum wage line cooks, rose again to new record highs of 11,307,000 workers. That's an increase of 25,000 in the month. That virtually offsetting virtually all lost manufacturing jobs. So what we have done is we have replaced all our high-paying manufacturing jobs where you now can become a bartender and a waiter. California is saying now Brown is going to sign where he's going to raise the minimum wage to $15. Are you nuts? You want to talk about losing jobs. So the job is worth, let's say the minimum wage job right now is even $10. So it's going to go up to 15. Where's the $5 value for the owner of the business? That's what I want to know. Where do they get that value? And why is it called mandatory? Mandatory. Why is there a mandatory minimum wage? There should be no mandatory minimum wage. When someone comes into work, he should get paid or she should get paid what they're worth. There shouldn't be any minimum. For heaven's sakes, if you walk into a job and the guy's going to screw you and he's not going to pay enough, you go to another job. I've never understood that. I never understood that. But here's what I do understand. These numbers that came out today, the new job numbers are terrible. Terrible jobs. No wonder we have a terrible standard of living and no productivity. We'll be right back. Phil Grande, philsgang.com. Join my gang. That's what you need to do.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
We're on our best 2-year job creation streak in 20 years.
What are you, nuts? Who'd believe that? Let me tell you the truth. First of all, the 292,000 jobs we got in December 2015, and they told us the unemployment rate is 5%. Not true. You can't trust these people on Wall Street. You can't trust the press. What they don't count is, in December, for example, the 615,000 discouraged workers. A discouraged worker is a person unemployed, gave up looking for work, but this administration does not count them as unemployed when calculating the 5% unemployment rate. Instead, they classify the discouraged as marginally attached to the labor force, but they're not considered part of the labor force or part of the unemployment. That's why you can't trust what they tell you. If we back into 625,000, the real unemployment rate is 12%, not 5%. That's why you got to join my gang, where you get the truth and where we use charts. Join the gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, my name is Phil Grande, philsgang.com. I'm going to tell you something about your 401k that you don't know. You know the 401k is a tax code? That's what it is. Here's how it worked. In the 80s, you had pension funds, but they decided to give their CEOs a benefit on top of the pension. It was called 401k. That was to shelter their income. That way they could keep the CEOs because it was very competitive. But when all the jobs were shipped overseas, they no longer could keep pension funds. Too expensive. So they shifted all their employees to a 401k, duping you thinking it was a good deal. But what they did is they charged hidden fees, which amount to about $250 billion a day, that they gave to lobbyists to go to Washington to make sure that this 401k would never be transparent. Here's what came of it.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
That's right. So join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, there's nothing worse than you're investing in a stock and during the day something happens and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to call. Or you call somebody and they just give you a bunch of BS. Not here at Phil's Gang. We value every gang member. During the day, you got a question about your stock, you contact us. We have the best service in the world. philsgang.com. You're not alone. You're a gang member.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Listen to what Fisher said, the former Fed governor.
We front-loaded at the Federal Reserve an enormous rally in order to accomplish a wealth effect.
That's right. Did you hear that? They took the stock market, front-loaded it, ran it 200%, so we ended up not only with a fake stock market, but fake GDP, fake money, fake jobs, fake prices, fake everything. But we took advantage of that, and we're going to take advantage again. That's why I told my gang in May to short the market on 5/29. That's May 29th. I'm telling you to short the stock market. And we were right. And the market went down over 11%. That's why you got to join my gang and learn how to short stocks just as much as buying them. Learn how to short with me, Phil Grande at philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Be sure to watch the Phil's Gang Show with Phil Grande, weekdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on various devices like smartphones, tablets, your computer, and more. Get free access to the Phil's Gang Show right in your hands at home or on the go. Simply go to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com and click on the Listen Live link. And we'll see you on the charts.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, it's been 7 years now since Obama ordered his Fed chairman to lower the savings rate from 5% to less than 0.25%. With a false narrative, it would spur economic growth and jobs. Everyone would have an opportunity in this economy. That's what he said. But what it spurred was a front loading of the biggest fake, unsustainable stock market rally of 200%. That's what it spurred. Now, most people did not participate in that rally because people got out of their 401k in 2009 and they said, just get me out. I want nothing but fixed income. And they got killed because with low interest rates, fixed incomes get murdered. You got to know what you're doing. If you're going to really retire, you got to be associated with the stock market. That's why you come to philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Welcome back to Phil's Gang Radio Show. For more information, simply go to philsgang.com. Now, here's Phil.
Stock Corner is brought to you by the Phil's Gang video channel. Go to philsgang.com, click on the video channel graphic, and check out Phil's free videos on the market, economy, and current events.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. So we had our job numbers, and they're celebrating as if it was a high school prom night. Listen to them. Listen to these people on CNBC, these jibber jabbers.
You said you thought this was a great report.
Yeah, I mean, we saw almost no revisions to last month, 215 on the headline this month, which is a good number.
We are creating a boatload of jobs.
I'm seeing a little bit of a feel stronger growth today.
I think this is a very good report.
Unbelievable.
The other part of the message is that we're down to 5% unemployment.
Oh my God. What do these people think? Do they think we're this stupid? They must. They must think we have such a herd mentality. That our brains are like a big sponge. We just suck this in. I mean, the economy is terrible. And here's what's really funny. The evidence was, if everything was so great, then why didn't Yellen raise rates in March? Because she knows things are terrible. She knows that. She knows that. 95 million people out of work. Are you kidding me? For the first time ever recorded, middle-class Americans make up the minority of the population. 61% of all Americans lived in a middle-class households. That has now dropped to 43%. Are you kidding? This is amazing. And the wealth for the middle class have dropped 28% since the day Obama took office. 28%. And there's still 900,000 fewer middle-class jobs in America than there was the day he took over the White House. 51% of the people in our workforce, we have about 150 million people working, 51% make less than $30,000 a year. And for the poorest, 20% of all American median household wealth declined from a negative $905 to $6,029. This is crazy. This is crazy. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do to catch up, to retire? Everybody's facing retirement, and I can help you. All I want you to do is help St. Jude. That's all. Just help St. Jude. And talking about St. Jude, I need your help. And we have a wonderful book. And Walter's Way, the author, Walter Scheer. It's an award-winning book. And when I say that, I'm not taking that lightly. This has received the prestigious Axiom Business Book Award. Now, this is a very respected, I should say, guidepost for business books. Because of the award, Axiom Business Book Award, you know that when you buy this book, you're buying a first-class book, a cutting-edge business book. And this book is about a man who's been through so much. You would not have the fax machine without this man. We wouldn't have the guidance system on our nuclear, the Polaris submarines that are underneath the ocean protecting us. He did that. The mergers and acquisitions that he put together, incredible. Litton, he worked for Litton. I mean, just the things he did, it was just amazing. Oil, he went into the oil business. The one story in his book is so great, is that he came up with an idea that he started to, now we're talking years ago, before they had CDs and all this, that he started to make movies for all the container ships and oil ships that go across the sea, because the crew had nothing to do except read magazines and books. So he decided to produce movies for them. And he had something like, I forgot how many thousands of ships, but thousands of them. And he provided all the material, all the movies. He produced them, directed them, produced all the. What an idea! And then he's so skillful, so knowledgeable. He had great instincts, and he decided to sell the company because he thought coming down the road there'd be these videos, you can get them online or whatever. And he sold them. He sold the business just in time, made millions selling the business. And then, of course, then they came out with the Blockbuster and all that, and the ships didn't need him anymore. I mean, just story after story after story. If you're an entrepreneur at all, this is the book you want. So I'll let you know where we're going to do the book signing. In the meantime, get the book, waltersway.org. Go to my website, philsgang.com, and you can sign up for the book there. And half of the money, okay, goes to the Vera and Walter Share Family Foundation, and the other half goes to St. Jude. So please help St. Jude, help yourself. It's a wonderful book. Here's where I want to help you. You know, we talk about every day how bad the economy is, but you don't have to be down about it. You got to do something about it. You know, I really worry about the people between the ages of 25 and 35. They're just starting out to earn, and they're in the 401k. And they're earning a lot less today than when Obama took office. And then I worry about the 45 to 54-year-old, or 45 to 55, I should say. Their median net worth plunged. It's 40% lower than it was in 1989. This group, you got to catch up. I can help you catch up for your retirement. I really can. Give you an example. Tiffany. We showed our gang on our PT2. It turned green. That was a buy signal and had what we call a crossover. There's two signals. They have to come together. You don't buy it. Because we caught that signal, we bought it in February 17th, and it's up 14% right now. And the beautiful thing, you'll be out before it goes down. You'll be notified before it goes down. Join my gang right now, 877-600-GANG. You'll love it, believe me.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. Everybody was asking me, how did I know to short forward when it was November? And it was when Aunt B was telling us everything was fine. Well, what people didn't know, Aunt B was lying to us. Because when she was raising the rates, machinery sales were down 5.6%, computers were down 8.7%, communication equipment sales down 21%. I took a look at our chart and I saw that institutions were pulling money out of Ford. So we said, let's short Ford. And we did that in November, on November 10th, because my charts told me there was a big sell signal, and we took advantage of it. And you know that stock Ford has now dropped 17%. That's the return my gang has now, 17%. Don't follow any of the jibber jabber from CNBC or the Fed. Follow me. philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264.
Even if the federal funds rate were to return to near zero, the FOMC would still have considerable scope to provide additional accommodation.
Accommodation, what's that mean? It simply means printing money. What she's saying is the economy's terrible. We're going to claw back that 25% or 0.25% interest rate hike that we did in December. And I'm going to print a whole bunch of money so that we can give it to companies to buy their own shares back so they can boost the stock market higher. The problem with that money is 0%. That means that people lose their jobs. They go from full-time to part-time. From part-time, they go to poverty. That's the problem. We can't keep doing this. Here's the point. When the market is going up, it's always when the economy is bad. Join my gang, philsgang.com, so you can participate.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Aren't you tired of all the nonsense you hear from these financial shows like this?
Should I be worried about Bear Stearns in terms of liquidity and get my money out of there? No, no, no. Bear Stearns is fine.
And then they went bankrupt. This is what I'm talking about. This is crazy. Your 401k, they take half of all the money you put away. Look, it's not about the money you're saving. It's about where you invest it and not in a 401k. Join my gang. Start using charts. I'll teach you how to use a chart so that you can maximize your returns on the money you do have. And the earlier you get started, the better. Join my gang, philsgang.com. philsgang.com.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Listen to this contradiction.
February existing home sales down 7.1%.
American consumers, they have more cash on hand.
What a contradiction. Matter of fact, all the information you get from all the different financial programs, it's all contradiction. But here at Phil's Gang, I will tell you the truth. Join my gang, philsgang.com. You will enjoy it.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. It's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Every month now, we get jobs. They give us the job numbers. We've been averaging, they tell us, 235,000 jobs a month. It's been a lie. That's a bogus number. The BLS, that counts the jobs, they use what they call the birth-death model system. What they do is they manipulate the jobs, so 40% of that number that you see is fake. That's right. If you take 235,000 jobs, the number really is 140,000. They bogus up about 95,000 jobs. But that's what goes on now on Wall Street. That's why you want to be a member of my gang, Phil's Gang, philsgang.com, because that way you get the truth. Join my gang, philsgang.com.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. We're a teaching format. Boy, do we give good service. You know, buying a stock doesn't have to be complicated. The reason why Wall Street makes it complicated is so to make you think you need to hire them. You can do better without them, believe me, because you're not going to have those big fees. Come to Phil's Gang, where we'll show you an easy way to buy a stock. philsgang.com, where we don't make it complicated but profitable.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264. You're not a regular listener to Phil's Gang? What, are you nuts? Listen to Phil Grande and check out philsgang.com. Now, here's Phil.
Look, Steve, we can count jobs. The errors in counting jobs are very, very low. We are creating a boatload of jobs. Another month, another 200,000 jobs. That's double the growth in the working age population.
But you notice he never talks about growth. These jibber jabbers never talk about economic growth because they don't get economic growth. They don't have economic growth. All they do is talk about the jobs. What good are these jobs? The jobs are terrible jobs. You need economic growth. You need productivity. But you can't get productivity to get economic growth unless you employ people. You can't employ people when Yellen keeps interest rates at zero. When you keep savings at near zero. You can't employ people. And the people who are employed when you're near zero, they don't get increased wages. And when there's no capital expenditures, why would a CEO spend money? The system's so screwed up. But first, I want to invite you to help St. Jude and help yourself joining the gang. And again, if you're very, very busy, I have the right program for you. If you're so busy, it's the PT2 program. It's a simple, color-coded chart. When it says to buy, you hear my voice. I say buy. When it's ready to sell, I tell you to sell. Simple is color-coded. I just gave you IBM. We did very well with IBM. 16%. Let me give you another one. Intel. I mean, this is how I don't understand what you're going to do. You can't do anything easier than this. Intel. I'll give you a great example in Intel. March 1st, we had a buy signal in Intel. It turned green. Now, here's the neat thing. When it was at $27, it didn't turn green. When it was $29, it didn't turn green. And finally, at $29.88, it didn't turn green. And finally, it hit green, turned green at $29.75. See, that's the beautiful thing. Just because the stock goes up doesn't mean you buy it, or somebody on CNBC tells you to buy it. So you could have made a mistake and bought it, let's say, at $27, thinking, oh, I'm going to get in at 27 before it gets to 29. No, that's not how it works. You want to get in where the institutions are buying it. See, that's the key. You got to get in where they're buying it. That's the big boys. So you have to wait, and then the chart is set up to turn and change color from red to green. So you get in at a higher point, but when you get in at the higher point, the probability of success is very high, meaning the key is to make sure that you have few losses. And what this chart does is set you in a position where you're on the highest probability of making money and not losing money. But the other key is when you take Intel, we have right now a 7% gain. But the beautiful thing is you're going to know when to take your profits because it'll turn back to red and it gives you a confirmation. My voice comes on and tells you, okay, now sell. It's so easy to follow. I know it sounds like a gimmick, doesn't it? I mean, but it isn't. It works. And this would be ideal if you don't want to get out of a 401k to follow along with your 401k. Put up the spiders, SPY. And when it's green on my PT2, then you stay in your 401k. When it starts getting red, you know to bail out. You know to get out. We have financial people all over the country that use this. They don't tell their clients, but this is what they guide them with. This is what they guide them with. Especially their 401k people. Check it out. Let me give you the number. 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-GANG. I don't know what else I can tell you. You're not going to, I don't know how you're going to retire. See, here's the problem. Here's the big problem. Even when we have corporate profits, when they were at their high, and the stock market was soaring to an all-time high, Main Street, Americans never got to share in any of this prosperity. In fact, in the last decade, the majority of workers never received a wage hike. Those important ages 25 to 35 and ages 45 to 55, they've been screwed. 25 to 35, they're earning less today than the day Obama took office, and ages 45 to 55, their median incomes are dropping down to a 1989 low. Most people get no overtime anymore, and most lose their full-time job to part-time so companies don't have to pay them benefits. And see, when they gave you the numbers today, they didn't give you on that 215,000 jobs how many of those jobs were part-time. You notice they never tell you that? And they never tell you how many jobs were lost either. They just tell you the gain. And by the way, keep in mind that the job numbers that they report, okay, they're the number of jobs they're reporting, not the number of employed people. But let's go back to this prosperity. Here's the problem for you. CEOs, that's the problem. They're the ones that reap all the gains from the prosperity because the way their incomes were set up. They make 300 times more than employees. 500 of the top CEOs of publicly traded companies make an average of $30 million a year. But 42% of their compensation comes from stock options and 41% come from stock awards. See, and that's the reason that the middle-class worker doesn't share in the prosperity. And there's another reason for income inequality, and I think that's the reason why they're not going to do QE4. They couldn't possibly do QE4 with the income inequality that it's already produced. See, because of this Federal Reserve accommodative policy of zero rates, the CEO borrows money from the Federal Reserve at zero interest, then combines that money with 54% of his company's profits to buy the company stock back. And the remaining 37% of the profits goes to dividends. See, so he has great incentive to keep buying stock, but not to work, not to hire. There's no incentive for the CEO to take 54% of the company profits and plow it back into the company. And so that would increase wages, capital expenditures. You see? Because of his stock options make up the majority of his CEO pay, he has no incentive to plow that 54% of the profits back into the company. So he takes the 54% and he takes it to buy shares, to move the price up so he hits his stock options. The other 37% he puts out to dividends. This is why you don't have a job. This is why if you have a job, you don't get a wage hike. See, it used to be for a CEO to get to really get compensated, to get a bonus and pay increase. He needed to work hard. He had to lead. He had to increase productivity. His performance was judged on what we call return on assets or return on equity. He was judged by that or he'd get fired. No more. Because, see, the stock options contribute 75% of his compensation. All he does, he just has to do more stock buying to drive that share price up to his option price. That's all he's got to think about. He doesn't wake up in the morning and go and say, how can I do better? How can I increase margins? How can I increase sales? See, sales can be down. It doesn't matter. As long as the Federal Reserve continues with a stupid accommodative policy with zero rates, they're going to keep doing the same thing over and over, the CEOs. Why work? They have no incentive. No incentive. See, the very CEO who we as investors came for years to rely on to make investments to increase productivity, all he's working on now is prosperity for himself, not for the company, not for the shareholders. And I hope the new president's got to change that. We'll be right back.
Want more information on this show? Go to philsgang.com or give them a call at 877-600-GANG.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. Yellen came out and told us that she is basically going to pull back the 25 basis point hike that she had in December, the quarter point, because the economy is bad. Then she's going to do quantitative easing. So what does that mean? That means as the economy gets worse, the market's going to go up. See, most people think when the economy's bad, the market should be going down. Just the opposite. Because when the economy is bad, the Federal Reserve comes in, prints money, gives it to the companies to buy their own shares back to push their stocks up. Because when the economy's bad, people aren't out spending and their stock doesn't go up. This is how they do it. A great opportunity. Don't miss it. Join my gang, philsgang.com. Become part of this wealth effect. philsgang.com.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Time is the one thing that we want more of. Without the donors, I wouldn't have my Audrey. They take care of our housing. They take care of our food. In addition to the best medical treatment that my daughter could ever have. So it allows me to focus on my daughter and getting her better.
St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Finding cures, saving children. Learn more at stjude.org.
Even if the federal funds rate were to return to near zero, the FOMC would still have considerable scope to provide additional accommodation.
Accommodation, what's that? It simply means printing money. What she's saying is the economy's terrible. We're going to claw back that 25% or 0.25% interest rate hike that we did in December. And I'm going to print a whole bunch of money so that we can give it to companies to buy their own shares back so they can boost the stock market higher. The problem with that money is 0%. That means that people lose their jobs. They go from full-time to part-time. From part-time, they go to poverty. That's the problem. We can't keep doing this. Here's the point. When the market is going up, it's always when the economy is bad. Join my gang, philsgang.com, so you can participate.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande at philsgang.com. You know, there's nothing worse than you're investing in a stock and during the day something happens and you don't know what to do. You don't know who to call. Or you call somebody and they just give you a bunch of BS. Not here at Phil's Gang. We value every gang member. During the day, you got a question about your stock, you contact us. We have the best service in the world. philsgang.com. You're not alone. You're a gang member.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call. That's 877-600-4264.
Hi, my name is Phil Grande at philsgang.com. I'm going to tell you something about your 401k that you don't know. You know the 401k is a tax code? That's what it is. Here's how it worked. In the 80s, you had pension funds, but they decided to give their CEOs a benefit on top of the pension. It was called 401k. That was to shelter their income. That way they could keep the CEOs because it was very competitive. But when all the jobs were shipped overseas, they no longer could keep pension funds. Too expensive. So they shifted all their employees to a 401k, duping you thinking it was a good deal. But what they did is they charged hidden fees, which amount to about $250 billion a day, that they gave to lobbyists to go to Washington to make sure that this 401k would never be transparent. Here's what came of it.
Responsibility begins and ends with our partners and our shareholders, and that's it.
That's right. So join my gang, philsgang.com.
Go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-4264. Anybody who puts money in my pocket is my friend. And Phil Grande can do the same for you. Learn how to grow and invest your money. Here's Phil Grande.
Hi, I'm Phil Grande, philsgang.com. You know, we come in the morning, we have what we call coffee talk. But we just don't sit around and throw the bull, or joke or laugh. Our coffee talk is serious. Every morning before you start out investing, we have an intense discussion on what is going on and where we should be investing. Because it's all about not the money, but where you're putting that money. Join my gang, philsgang.com, and enjoy the best coffee in town.
For more information, go to philsgang.com or give us a call at 877-600-GANG.
And welcome back to Phil's Gang. All right. I want to tell you a little bit about Tiffany. Now, we don't know anything about Tiffany as far as the amount of money it makes, the market cap, really what it sells, none of the fundamentals, nothing about the economic fundamentals. We don't know anything about Tiffany. We really don't. But yet, Tiffany, we have a 14% gain. Now, so why don't we need to know all that stuff? Why don't we need to know about the market cap or the PE ratio or the sales price or price to books or revenue per share or return on assets? All that stuff that you think you got to hire somebody because they know it. And you say, I need a broker because they know this stuff. Because really, what makes a stock go up is real simple. Okay, is energy. What is energy? Energy is when the institutions go in and buy the stock. When they buy the stock, that is what pushes, that's the energy that pushes it up. So what you want to identify is when that energy is coming in. I'll give you a good example with Tiffany. We know nothing about it. I wouldn't know the revenue per share on that. I don't know anything about the price to book or profit margins, operating, and I could care less. The stock dropped about 30%. And then we waited. It hit 59 as a low. And we didn't get a buy signal. It went all the way up to 64. That's an 8% move. Then all of a sudden, my chart, the PT2, gives us a signal. First of all, my voice comes on and says buy. So that first 8%, someone else would think, I better get it at 59 before it gets to 64, right? Most people think that. No. The chart, the technology told us, wait until Vanguard was buying more of it. BlackRock was buying more of it. See, it only tells you to buy when you get the institutions like T. Rowe Price or Bank of New York or J.P. Morgan or Franklin Resources going in and buying it, which own that stock. So when those guys, those institutions own the stock, we didn't see enough of them that the chart didn't pick up at 59 or at 60 or 61. It remained red. It didn't pick it up. Only when it turned green did that signal pick up, and then you have another signal. We call it double check. It checks it. And once we got that confirmation, now we're up 14%. As it keeps going up, we will get a signal when the institutions are pulling the money back out again. It is so easy. It's so easy to do. Why don't you try it? You got to do something. Let me give you the name. 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-GANG. Call now. Try it for a month. Sign up. And I know you'll love it. And all we ask is when you start making money, send a little money to St. Jude. And Steve will take your phone call, or Alex. All right. Let's go back to, why do you think, for a moment, why do you think we have so many people, 49% of all Americans now live in a home that receives money from the government each month. And nearly 47 million are living in poverty right now. And 48% of 25-year-old Americans are still living at home with their parents right now. Why do you think this is happening? Because of the compensation of the CEOs tied back to this policy they have at the Fed of accommodation, they call it. When you keep on feeding, you say to a CEO, I'm going to give you options. That's how you're going to get paid, mostly with stock options. What's the CEO think? Gee, all I got to do is get the stock price up. Now, he knows the Federal Reserve, he just goes over and borrows money at 0%, just keeps borrowing at 0% and keep buying the stock of his company. So the stock price keeps going up and up and up, even though there's no earnings going up, margins aren't any good, sales, top line sales aren't going up. So you haven't got revenues going up, you haven't got earnings going up, margins aren't going up, but he can push that stock price up. So all he cares about is his own compensation. See, they set up the compensation of the CEO based on stocks, stock options. That's where this thing went wrong. So you're really, think about these two things coming together. The Federal Reserve will give CEOs money for nothing to buy their own stock, and the CEOs get paid based on stock. Isn't that amazing? So that's why there's a problem. So stock buybacks and the CEO compensation has now interfered in providing workers with higher incomes, greater job security. So that contributes, right, to a stable economic growth. Instead of what we have and what we're seeing through the stock buyback and the CEO compensation being tied back to stock option is a tremendous income inequality. Now, that's only one reason. The other reason is the 1 percentile who make so much money, they take a lot of that money, they go to Congress and buy Congress, and they set up the legislation that benefits them so they can make more money. But that's the problem. So I believe the new president should stop, whoever it is, should stop also this quarterly earnings report. This is ridiculous, reporting every quarter, these CEOs, which makes CEOs so short-sighted. Instead of looking out long-term and planning for the company long-term, why would they? All they got to do is meet Wall Street expectations. All Wall Street wants is higher stock prices. That's all they want. So as long as the Fed is willing to feed free money to the CEOs, and as long as Wall Street keeps paying CEOs by stock options, then Main Street is screwed. So the new president has to come in. I'm not saying change what he makes. I'm not saying that at all, but change how he gets there. So let's stop the quarterly earnings report, which makes CEOs short-sighted. They don't look long-term anymore. They think short-term. All they think is about, how do I maximize shareholder value every 90 days to meet Wall Street's expectation for higher and higher quarterly earnings per share, which is another reason why they turn to stock price manipulation through this massive stock buyback program, which is stimulated through free money given to you by the Federal Reserve. See, I believe by stopping the quarterly earnings will make things much better. Just have them twice a year. Don't have quarterly earnings. Just twice a year you report your earnings. See? Then, instead of spending $5 trillion in stock buybacks, the new president should shut that down. They'll take that $5 trillion and they'll spend it on innovation. They'll spend it on job creation. They'll spend it on training programs, which they're not doing right now. There's companies that have openings for 20, 30 people, skilled people, but nobody has the skills. Nobody's willing to train them because CEOs don't want to spend the money. Why should they? They rather buy more shares, push the stock price up, hit their stock option, they make another $30 million. See, this is what's killing you. This is what's killing your job. That's why you don't get overtime. So that's what's got to be changed. In the meantime, I can't change that. And I don't know if we're going to get somebody who will change it. All I can do is change your life by saying, hey, let me show you how to use PT2. Just try it for a month. I'll show you Tiffany and I'll say, okay, when it turns green, on the second day it turns green, and then you get the confirmation, what we call a crossover, then buy. When it turns red, then we'll get out, or then turn around and sell it short. It's so easy. I can't change Wall Street, but I sure can change your life. 877-600-GANG. And don't forget Walter's book, Walter's Way. Great book, great book. See you on the chart.
You have been listening to Phil's Gang with your host, Phil Grande, on the Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Off the Wall Street Radio Network. Remember to visit Phil's website at philsgang.com. That's philsgang.com. Or call the office, 877-600-4264. That's 877-600-4264.
It's up to